Good, very early morning, everyone. I'm still up. I haven't gone to sleep yet. What I've been doing is creating this Veve to Baron Samedi. The Veve is right back here. It involves a skull, portrait, more like than a skull, and a spade, and two A's, representing the Ace of Spades. Now, who is Baron Samedi? He's a Vodou Loa. Loa is a spirit that rules a certain domain in the spiritual realm, and the spiritual realm's connection to this realm, that related domain. Baron Samedi has and rules the domain of death and love. Now, how are death and love connected? Death and love cannot exist without one another, just like life and death. Love is the propagation of life, the tool with which life is created, and death is that which makes way for new life, that from which life springs. The death provides the fertilizer of the body once the soul is gone from it and has either ascended or descended. And since I believe in reincarnation, I believe that without a being like Baron Samedi, it would be nearly impossible to forget our past attachments. What you have to understand about death and love: death allows us to continue on into a new form of life and put aside the mistakes that we made. We might be rewarded or punished based on the mistakes we made in life, but it allows us to put that aside. If reincarnation exists, as I believe, then it allows us to have an infinite amount of chances to get it right until we reach God, become enlightened, achieve moksha, whatever you want to call it, until we achieve true realization. And it's a balancing act, and it's a balancing of the forces. Without death, somebody could go on and on and on, and with the same attachments he formed as a child, as an adult, for thousands of years. Now, this is very basic. Why does death exist? What would happen if death didn't exist? But the connection between death and love is a little bit more complicated. Death does make way for new life, and love propagates it, but there is a certain understanding when you try to seek a partner in a loving way, not just for a sex way, but in a loving and committed way. When you try to seek a true partner, you are accepting that you are going to spend much of your life with them, if not all of it, and that you may die being with them eventually, of old age, of course. Nobody dreams of dying by murder or anything like that. Nobody wants that. But you may die of old age with that person. Now, that love has to be especially strong for you to continue to that place where you imagine that your love will last until you die. Now, there are a number of things that one has to be and do in order to maintain love that long, until death. Baron Samedi is a spirit that is wise to these things. He's wise to subtleties. He's wise to the understanding of death and the subtleties of love. Uh, and they are very much connected. Though in any other system besides Vodou, and I'm calling it Vodou, there's Voodoo, Santeria, and other forms of mystical traditions or magical traditions or religions connected to the ancient African religions. But what I follow is Vodou. That's I'm a Vodouissant, is how you say it. It's a French word, but it means a practitioner of Vodou. I'm not only a Vodouissant, but I am a Vodouissant. And every single every single spirit, every single Loa, in my opinion, is more of a station. When I say Baron Samedi, it's more of a station than an actual being, because a being could pick up the mantle when the soul that is Baron Samedi right now either rises above or rises below his station. And so the station of Baron Samedi will always exist in this fashion until everybody ascends or becomes enlightened, achieves moksha. Moksha means liberation in Hinduism. And that's why this station can be so intrinsical. It's not based on one spirit's progress or digression from progress. It's not based on the soul that's in that has the station of Baron Samedi right now. It's based on what kind of spirit rules this domain, and this domain related to love and death. This particular mantle is intrinsic to reality. I didn't realize the connection between love and death until recently, and they are very much intertwined, just like all things. But love and death have a particular intertwining, I guess you could say. What am I about to do with this Veve? What I'm about to do is trace its outline, which is a spade. And I'll just list a few of the things that are associated with Baron Samedi. But the spade, obviously, because you dig graves. He protects people in the graveyard, and his symbol is basically the spade, the shovel, however you want to say it. But it's not like he goes and digs them himself. It's more of a symbol for his connection to the afterlife, ferrying people across into the next world. And it is said, well, this is very symbolic, that you can't die unless Baron Samedi digs your grave. He doesn't cause your death, but he does aid in the transition. What I'm about to do with this Veve is that I'm going to trace it in gasoline from a cup. And I learned that I shouldn't use the whole jug. It's really hard to control how much you get out of it, so I'm going to basically crease the cup, pour gasoline along the outside of the spade. Next I'm going to do lighter fluid in the same way along the edge of the spade. And I want to make this very precise because I worked a long time to make this this portrait of a skull. And, every time I do a Veve, it never turns out like I thought, and I kind of improvise as I go. But it's basically made of coffee grounds last, cornmeal first, and spray paint second. And I actually am very happy with how it turned out. Spray paint is not the easiest thing to work with when you're doing something like this. So I had to do it at an angle, because if you do go straight down, you're going to scare the cornmeal like crazy. Just now learning that. And as this is lit, and you'll see it in the video, it will have an effect on your mind. It will instill itself in your mind, more so for me, but it is still very much possible for you watching. But the spirit, basically, of Baron Samedi, that Loa, who I'm calling, well, he's a Loa, and more specifically, he's a Geed, which is more like an undead spirit, a section of the Loa, if you will. The Petwo, or the demonic Loa, the Rada, or the merciful and compassionate Loa. But anyway, when I light it, Baron Samedi is going to communicate something to me, into my mind. I might not even realize it for a while, but his desire to teach me something will become manifested into a lesson and instilled in my mind when I light this. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Alright. Kind of go down a little bit. I'm using the claw, by the way. The claw is something that you can use as a tripod for your iPhone. Very good thing. Alright, let's do this. You might ask, why do I have this seamless mask and these goggles? And basically, well, besides looking pretty goddamn amazing, these goggles are similar to sunglasses, because basically they feel like sunglasses when you're on, because they dim the light. And that's what the Geed, who are the dead who live in another realm, it's very hard to see into the light in this realm, even if it's mild light. So by donning these, I'm allowing Baron Samedi to see that I am accommodating him. That, okay, I can do this and you can see through me, because it's very bright in this world. I'm doing it for him. And this mask is basically associated with death, because basically it's a skull, bottom jaw, and a whole bunch of skulls around it, which is another obvious association with Baron Samedi. But let's get started. Don't have to wear them the whole time. to be precise. That was my hope with this, but it doesn't have to be precise. Alright, that's looking interesting. Alright, I'm going to get rid of the rest of this gasoline by kind of pouring it around here. Artistically, dots around the spade. And I'm going to have to do something else. I'm going to have to wash my hands because I did not expect this cup to break, but gasoline will eat through the cup. I just realized. Put that aside, not close to the Veve. Alright, I'm back. And another symbol for Baron Samedi is the cross, his part of his Veve. And his Veve, which is a physical representation of himself. This is a Veve of a different kind, more artistic. This is the physical representation of his spirit. If you look up Veves and Baron Samedi on Google, you'll be able to find it. But it's basically a cross, is central. So, red cross right here. It's kind of hard to see, but... Alright, we're going to do lighter fluid next. After I get a lighter, of course, which I did not get. Lighter fluid, just to kind of connect the gasoline, which I found works well when you're trying to connect it all. And the design, you know, you can screw up the design a little bit, obviously. I found it doesn't matter a whole lot. The spiritual connection is still made. Alright, we're about to flame this up. Baron Samedi, I offer you this Veve in recognition of your domain and understanding of death and love, that you may help me understand and others understand their connection and their manifestations in this world. Baron Samedi. 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 tell you, that's a feeling like no other. Most of the time you do have to be present to feel it, but once the image comes to life, you feel the heat, you smell it, and you have worked on it for a long time. There's something that's communicated past what you already knew about what you're doing. Thank you, Baron Samedi. Thank all of you for watching. I hope this gave you some pointers. I'm still learning as I go, but thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe. I would love it. Thank you very much.